week, I like to introduce you to people who are doing positive things in our community, really making Milwaukee better, and most importantly, helping people thrive. And as we all know, this is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I have two lovely ladies with us this afternoon. Dana Johnson and Kathleen Harris both work with the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, and they have done some powerful work on advocating on behalf of women legislation as well as funding and research. So thank you for being with me this afternoon, Dana and Kathleen.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank you
it's
for
a it's an
having us.
honor. I know, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about breast cancer is the fact that it is so pervasive and unfortunately so common. With the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, what is the most important message you want to get out to women? Let me start with you, Dana. What do you want to tell women?
Well, I think it's important that women understand that there are several components when it comes to breast cancer and the legislation behind it. That it, begins with people understanding October resonates with the pink ribbon and walks and things. But beyond that is the legislative side. And that's where Kathleen and I play a major role, along with other advocates under the coalition. We meet in April and in October with the state legislators in Madison to make certain that the bills that need to be passed are passed, and that they are being active in doing what they, are voted into office for.
Yeah, very important. And the legislative side might be, in many ways, the most important, Kathleen. And I have to give you a shout out because you helped to form this organization. You're a founder, which is so important. Can you tell me, what do you think is the most important message you need to get out to women and men today about breast cancer?
Well, I think it's important to know that, for one thing, breast cancer is not one disease, it's a number of diseases. And that it is important to educate yourself about your cancer, but also from an advocacy perspective, which is where I'm involved. It's the power that and the voice that women have that makes a big difference and helps us to gain support for our legislation that will help all women, regardless of what type of breast cancer they have.
Absolutely. There's so many different types, and some are way more aggressive than others. And Kathleen, I have to point out that you are a survivor of breast cancer 29 years.
That's correct.
Well, congratulations. And you are a testament and very important for other ladies who have just been diagnosed. What would you like to say to someone out there who might have just gotten the diagnosis, that they can too thrive and survive?
Well, I would say that my advocacy work has really helped me, and I have thrived on that work throughout these years. So I think it's important, I have a passion for what I do. And I think that's important for any type of work that you might be engaged or interested in. Having a passion in what you do, I think is healthy. It helps you overcome a lot of your fears about yourself.
I think that's so important, and we're on live, live Facebook Live, so you're hearing or StreamYard, so you're hearing something in the background. But I always tell people, have a life purpose, find your purpose. And Dana, I know your connection. You do not have breast cancer and have not been diagnosed, but your mother passed from breast
Yeah,
cancer, so that fuels your passion. Can you talk about what her memory means in terms of your work, Dana?
certainly. So she passed January 8th of 2003, and since then it's just been my mission and purpose to be able to serve in any way that I possibly can, whether it is being a team captain for a walk or attending the gala, or now at this level with being passionate about anything legislative wise. So I thank people like Kathleen and Dawn Anderson and others who paved the way and helped continue to guide me in my advocacy work and education, and just making certain that I'm paying it forward in that respect, because there are many people who don't really know where the services or the support groups or what the legislation behind it truly means. So being able to have that seat at the table and to represent all women and men, as you mentioned, who may have been diagnosed, to just have that voice and make certain that our voices are being heard at the highest level.
Yes, that's very important. And Kathleen, I have to say, your organization has led to $45 million into breast cancer research and various programs in the state of Wisconsin. Now, that's astonishing, really, when you think about it, because it takes a lot of legwork and grassroots work to get to that number.
Yes, it does, and we have to work on it every single year to get support from our members of Congress in Washington, D.C., our members of Congress from Wisconsin. So there's something that we do every single year, and it can be challenging, especially these last couple of years. So we work very hard on that every year, developing strategies and what will work in the state of Wisconsin. And so we develop our own strategies and we carry them out. That's our job.
Aren't you both about to take a trip?
We are.
Can you talk about that? Because this is important.
We are both headed to Washington, D.C. Next Wednesday for public policy meetings. And those meetings are with the parent, if you will, over the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, called the National Breast Cancer Coalition. They are housed in Washington, D.C. And we have both been invited because we sit on the public policy committee here in the state. And we will have the opportunity to continue to get educated on what's going on, what's groundbreaking, and to be able to have conversations with legislators in Washington, D.C., and continue with the purpose and the mission of the coalition.
Well, we certainly need people like you. Can I ask you both, one of the big problems that I'm hearing, and I saw this on your website, the diagnosis in terms of women with dense breast tissue. And this is something that a lot of people are not aware of, that they might need another service instead of just a mammogram. They might need an ultrasound or something like that. Can you talk about that, either one of you?
Well, yes, this is an important issue that although now it's a mandate to notify or inform a breast cancer woman that or a woman going in for a regular mammogram, an annual mammogram, to be notified if they have dense breasts, because that is could be a precursor to breast cancer. So, but once they learn that they may have it, that risk, then there's additional type of screening that should be done. And although it is covered by insurance in most cases, the copay is not. And so that's what this legislation is about.
Very important. And that's something that, if a lot of people or a lot of ladies or men would not know that if you are not on the forefront and really helping to fight for that. So that's it's good that you're doing that, because this is a very common situation. When we talk about that, now there's been so much progress. Let's talk about something good, because we do like to talk about all the good things. We are seeing, are we seeing survival rates really improve over the past, say 20 years?
Well, we have seen the mortality rate go down. Not significantly, but it has gone down. So it was 143,000 women dying from breast cancer annually, and now it's more like 140,000 annually. So there is improvement, and but we need a whole lot more, and that's what we're working for and working toward in our advocacy work.
Yes, and of course, everybody, and we've been saying it for years, you have to you have to embrace early detection and mammograms. Get your mammogram. In case you're just joining us for Lunch with Carole, I am talking to Dana Johnson, Kathleen Harris. Both are with the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, and they are really doing a lot of work to legislate and empower us all on not only breast cancer awareness, but funding, research, detection, and all of the areas that really we need to reduce the mortality of this disease. So it's very important. And Dana, I know that you are also host of the Pink Table Talk, which also addresses awareness and advocacy.
Correct. And I'm proud that having been a member of the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition first, that I'm able to also be able to provide that type of knowledge to women and men from the legislative side. Yesterday, I actually received a call from someone who had asked, is there something that you can like offer in regards to like support groups? And just for their privacy, of course, I will, won't say any names, but just to know that there are extensions and there are services that are out there. So it is a blessing to be able to sit in a dual role, one with the Pink Table Talk, but also with the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, because I can be able to access that information to provide to women, men, whether they are survivors or just being recently diagnosed, or caregivers, because we often forget about the caregivers and they're just as important. And just making certain that they understand that there are support groups for them, as well.
Yes, very important. And Kathleen, I imagine it's got to be rewarding. This is a passion of yours to know that you are actually helping over the years. What can you share? What is a rewarding story that we can let everybody know about from your work with the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition?
Well, I would say it was the work that we do, such as our accomplishments on the national level, but it relates to all the women in Wisconsin and all the women across the country. And that is the Breast and Cervical Cancer Treatment Act. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but it has impacted the lives of many, many women living with breast cancer or who are diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's for the underserved and uninsured women in Wisconsin in our case, but it's really across the country. And basically that came about because of stories that we heard from women, and I heard many of them myself. Some women who personally came to me, and others were stories that people related to me who work with women who have breast cancer or diagnosed and are in a very bad position. They're unable to get the treatment they need when they need it to save their lives. So hearing that story from so many women, it was very, a great success in my opinion, because it affected the lives of so many women who really needed that help. So I consider that a very big story and a successful story for us in Wisconsin.
Yes, and you should be very proud. And, that makes us feel good. There's so many people who don't have the resources. And there's so many people who, like you say, the underinsured or the no insured, we can't just let them suffer needlessly. So thank goodness that we have an organization like yours willing to help that good fight, as they would say. Well, I have to say, Dana Johnson, Kathleen Harris, I could talk to you all day, but I think we have to wrap it up because we only have so much time. But thank you so much, and keep up the good work. We're going to have more on your story on Positively Milwaukee. I want to thank all of you for joining us for Lunch with Carole Meekins, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 12:30. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Bye.